Okay, I'm gonna try and walk you through installing a DuraScreen. I've actually installed these two, so that makes me an expert. And I'm actually glad I did these two first because I think I earned my stripes or grind my teeth doing them. What I learned is when you give them the measurements, they ask for the opening dimension. And the mistake I made was when I did my measurements, I only measured on this screen, I only measured the top. And this jam or this opening was not perfectly square. So I found that as the screen came down and the opening got tighter, the screen jammed up. So that forced me to do some modifications. And once I learned that you need to measure at the top of the opening and the bottom of the opening, and then they will make you a screen with the shorter of the two opening dimensions. So once that was done, I like I said, I learned my lesson, and then we decided to go for this big dog here. So I gave DuraScreen the dimensions, and then they made me a custom screen. This is almost 23 feet across here, and these are like 14. So fast forward, here is the screen laying on the ground here, and this installation I decided to do a face mount. These are face mounts, and then this would be like an underhang or mount. And the reason I chose a face mount instead of an underhang is because this screen is about 9 inches when it's coiled, and you have the weighted bar there. So if you add 9 inches to this opening, you'd be hitting your head as you went under. So mounting it up here gives me the room to walk in and out of this opening without hitting your head on the dangling weighted bar. So with that said, let's go ahead and I'll show you how you mark up the mounting brackets. There's two mounting brackets on a traditional, like this 14-foot one here. This one is 23 foot, so it needs a helper, or like kind of a, I don't know what they called it, but it's right here. And it's a roller that will, it'll mount on the underside, and it'll give this 23-foot awning some support because it's supposed to bow in the middle. So we'll just attack these two. And this is the motor side. And what they ask you to do is find they're calling this the jam. Find the center of the jam and come up. And that's my center jam line right here. And then they ask you to go 1/4 inch in, sorry, 1/8 inch in from there. So I took the motor side bracket, and this is my level line right there. Placed it on here, and so you can see that's approximately what it's going to go, because it's backed up to here on this side. So with that 1/8 inch gap on this side. So those are my centers, and that's the motor side. Now the idler side over here is a little bit different. So let's go check that one out. The idler side is just a larger gap. Instead of an 1/8 inch gap, they ask for a 7/8 inch gap. And the reason for that is because you have this spacer. So if you back it up against there, you'll see that that spacer that the idler pin goes into takes up that 7/8 inch gap, and it's probably an 1/8 inch that's left over in this little space right here. So with this thing mocked up, I'm going to go ahead and drill these holes, and then I'll be back with you when I have the mounting brackets in. Okay, here's a tip before we start drilling away. It's really important that these mounts are square and level. So what I do is I'll take one of these scribes, or kind of like a center punch for metal but for wood, and just pop those holes in there so that when I start to drill, this wood is really soft, and it seems that the drill can wander, and then when you go to tighten down the mount, you're kind of crooked. So get your drills nice and centered, and you'll start off. One more tip is to measure the depth that you want to drill to. These lag bolts here, they're not the greatest. Gotta be honest. But what screwed me up was I broke one of these off, and the reason it broke off is because I didn't drill far enough into the wood, and that forced me to put more torque on that little tiny head than it could handle. So measure your depth. I used the tape to mark how far I need to go, and gave myself just a little bit more, and you won't have those problems, because if you break a screw off in that head or that hole, then you're really screwed, because your mounting is now right. And also make sure that you drill straight. So that looks good to me. This impact driver to drive these screws in, and I would say I get them, you know, just snug, and then I use a regular wrench to kind of hand tighten them, and I just leave them snug enough to do the install, and then I can come back and move these brackets in or out as needed. Okay, so the bracket's installed on both sides, and I'll put some moly grease on that idler pin, and then we'll get it to the awning installed. I'm really surprised. I did it by myself, so I just winched it up there with those orange strap tie downs, and actually these columns worked as a support, so I was able to kind of climb the ladder and put one end up there, and then use those orange strap tie downs as more of a safety or fall protection for the awning. So it's up there, and that spacing that I recommended worked out perfect, because it was a little too tight. And then I was able to open up one end and put the awning in, and then tighten up the bracket, and it was good. Okay, the screen is up. I would say it took me 2 hours to get it to this point by myself, and the next project will be to install the tracks. So I'll call it a night, and we'll come back tomorrow. All right, so we're back at it. Believe it or not, I got this screen up by myself. So what we're going to be doing today is installing these guide rails. The first step that they want you to do is install these adjustment screws, and these are these self-tapping screws I have. And this stucco wall, like many other walls, is not perfectly straight up and down. So the aluminum guide rail is. And you could see right here, there's actually, you know, there's a little gap right there. And that's what the intent of these screws is. It's to take up that space or add like back support to this rail, so that when you mount your mounting screws in here, you're not bending the rail. So the mounting screw will go through the front, and the adjustment screw will come out as you need it to take up that gap. So what I'll do now is I'll lower this screen down about 6 or 8 inches, just enough for me to feed the rail or the screen into the rail, and then I'll start the mounting process.